Today's date is May 31st, 2023. Episode is titled, Where I've Been. Sometimes the flow of life just exactly breaks wrong. This episode includes mentions of body issues and domestic abuse. The past 6 months of life have been a wilder ride than I would have ever predicted. I wonder if I accidentally slighted someone last November after I drove back from spending my second Thanksgiving in San Francisco and was gifted the curse of living in interesting times. Because the times, they have been most interesting. December seemed to start well. My mental health was in a pretty good place for the first time, ever. The full list looks like bottom text, but includes ADHD, autism, major depressive disorder, generalized and social anxiety disorder, CPTSD, PTSD, and dissociative disorders. The trauma constellation is not unexpected from someone with an ACE score of 7. There's an upcoming episode about adverse childhood experience scores and their effects on health for more insights there. I've had bouts of hyperthymia that lasted a few weeks, maybe 2 months, but this didn't have that almost frenetic edge that extended hypomanic state usually did. For reference, this state has continued going on 9 months now, which is rather amazing to experience. Then I noticed the weight was dropping. I quietly made a goal in April last year of dropping 20 kilos, 44 pounds of body weight. I was actually pretty excited that I was getting very close to that goal. It's become apparent, at least in my case, that my weight issues are attributable, at least in part, to my mental health challenges. It's hard to walk a few clicks or ride a bike or go to the gym when one is burdened with nightmarish mental health issues. I know weight issues are sensitive for many out there. I'm only sharing my story to break a lot of myths about that connection between health and weight. This leads to another upcoming episode about looking at things backwards. I restarted this podcast after a hiatus of nearly 19 years. It was hilarious to reflect that this short downloadable radio-style program intended to be listened to on personal audio devices from 2002, that ended in 2003, predated the word podcast coined in 2004, which is why that tagline of a podcast from before podcasting existed is in the intro. Then came that night in the middle of the month where my abusers went fully mask off and assaulted me. I ended up in hospital with head, arm, and leg injuries on a night with a massive snowfall. I had my keys, my phone, the clothes on my back, and that's it. I needed to ask for a jacket from the hospital in order to walk out of the emergency department in excruciating pain since the doctor refused to provide proper pain management. While I have a shockingly high pain tolerance, pain is only a choice up to a point, even if discomfort is not, and that level of agony well breached that threshold. Oops, another episode. At that point, I started getting the support I needed to be safe from my abusers and begin working on gently removing them from my life. A few friends offered a safe place to stay far from my home and far from those people. I dropped a challenging episode about this incident. I recorded the audio in one take from one of those undisclosed locations. Friends helped me grab my most critical things and some clothes. Friends bore witness when I formally evicted them and gave them a gracious amount of time to exit my home and my life. I even connected with social support orgs to help them find a new place to stay because I will not make another homeless, even if they caused me pain. I choose to not inflict pain on others and self, and becoming unhoused is painful, while moving to some other place is merely discomforting. I moved back into a very trash-strewn home on the 1st of February, free of most of the signs of my abusers apart from the things they abandoned there. I am deeply grateful for all that helped me through that rough patch, whether financially via GoFundMe, or by giving me shelter, or by helping get rid of all that trash and debris that was left behind. Then in early February, my car was totaled as it was parked at the side of the road. The one who hit my car, though, did the right thing several times over. The first right thing would be more accurately described as the best worst thing, though. They chose to hit my car rather than have a head-on collision with some foolish driver who was barreling toward them in the wrong lane. Smashing into something stationary at 50 kilometers an hour or 30 miles an hour is orders of magnitude safer than having a head-on collision with another who's going at least that quickly. The hit was much worse than originally discerned. Both axles were utterly destroyed. Both the electric and hydraulic brake systems were toast. Body damage meant doors wouldn't fully close. But even so, until the battery box was inspected and found to have been damaged, the car would have been salvageable. It took nearly 3 months, but insurance came through in the end, and that fun little car left my life with no hard feelings and $1,400 a month saved between financing costs, insurance, maintenance, and charging costs. I had to move to a new apartment, though. The old unit was too much for one person. Too many memories of those people as well. I started downsizing my life as I got rid of things that were not useful or desired. 3 bags of clothes, half my kitchen, furniture I didn't need, all given away to anyone that needed it. Apart from my furniture, I fit everything into rented plastic crates and moved them almost all by myself into my current place. Pro tip. Yes, they may cost a little more than cardboard, but if your area has a service where you can rent sanitized plastic crates for moving, I highly recommend doing so. Because they have to go back to the company you rent from, you're forced to unpack everything that you've placed in there. A nice thing about this unit, though, is that it has a space perfect for establishing a voice work studio. I've spent most of May installing acoustic foam, sound dampening, and a dedicated workspace. So here I am, saying this from Hacker Pixie Studio Zero. Here's the current plan for the podcast and related matters. The current plan is to attempt to record and release an episode of the podcast every day for at least 1 year. The first few episodes are already in the can and ready to launch on the 1st of June. In addition to Bad Idea Saturday, a new feature is going to start. FAFO Fridays. This week, that's the 2nd of June, will be all about Team FAFO. Thanks for hanging around this long with this strange chick. Talk to you tomorrow.